Yep.
Hmm. Questionable silence and progressive disdain for small talk aside, welcome to this first stream of consciousness cocaine based podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Questionable silence and much more questionable quality of product being churned out here today. And yeah, what do you want to talk about?
So here's the thing. I've always wanted to look, and you notice that today, in today's day and age, one thing that we seem to be hearing a lot about, whether it's in terms of uh, how it's going to be changing the entire world of content making or marketing and all of those things, is the term AI. Uh, my my own marketer brain conspiracy theory is that nobody really knows enough about AI to actually be able to do it. But the paranoid version that exists in my head has been taking a look at. I'm sure you've seen all these different AI videos, right? With the lions coming into the porches and bulls jumping into dining rooms and all of those things. And because they're using CCTV and ring cams footage and things like that, it is absolutely seeming like it is very much real. It's not like how when AI began and you saw or you see this new Instagram trend, which is like then and now, or how AI used to be de-aging people and stuff like that.
And the
That
characters
we
have
knew
seven
was AI.
fingers because AI can't save its life for
I
lifetime.
mean, the entire thing about AI when it began was it was some of the stuff was a little too uncanny valley, which is why it was very easy to be able to figure out what is AI, what is not. But today, given that AI creators have picked onto a trend where what they're doing is looking at ring cam videos or CCTV videos or something that is by default supposed to be grainy, or say dash cam videos and things like that, things that are instantly more personal. It's not cell phone recordings or those kinds of things. It's like intentionally grainy, intentionally pixelated, mainly because that is the common source of a lot of the video content that exists in the world today. Yes, I know that creators use their phones and use all of that, but a lot of our content does come from these kinds of channels. And the fact that AI creators have now gone into this kind of a channel in order to bring out content instantly makes a lot more people start thinking that you know what, this could be true. Yeah, all right. Some of the scenarios are a little too unbelievable. Let's say Joseph Stalin is not going to be walking down a WWE ring and challenging Adolf Hitler for the World Heavyweight Championship, and yet that video does exist. So see, that's funny. But these ring cam videos and stuff like that, they have raised a question in me, and this is maybe just the tinfoil wearing potential old person I'm growing up to become. But what happens if all of this is kind of a way to get you desensitized and just start thinking that everything is AI? What if you're looking at all of these things and you're just saying, okay, so this happened, but you're telling me that this is an AI video. Tomorrow, if I were to be using, say, dash cam footage of while I'm driving through a protest, or where there is an occupation, or whether I have low level footage from, say, war zones or potential genocidal places and things like that. And everyone's just possibly, because we're used to this kind of nonsense, then just going to come back and say, you know what, guess I think that that's AI, folks. I have no faith in this and things. So are we, as a, I'm sure nobody's actually thinking about this. I hope nobody's thinking about this, and I hope that nobody sees this and starts thinking about it that way. But I'm wondering if this is really something that is A, whether it's a possibility, B, whether it is someone who's actually planned it out in this way. Because if so, then that person needs to be heralded, because this is a phenomenal way to make people mistrust what it is that they're seeing. And that is the first step. Conversely, it's also possible that given the sheer amount of gullible people that exist in this world who are able to be, back in the day, they used to be able to be manipulated by easily Photoshop pictures of, an outline of something, of a face in the sky, or like clouds that part to reveal something and things like that. And you say only only the true believer will see this, something like that. Correct? Now, in that exact same scenario, today, those people are able to see a lot more and bring in. The dog also clearly agrees with this conspiracy theory. But those people are now going to be in a scenario. Hold on. Strategic pregnant pause movement out of screen and then returning back for effect. Now, those people are then going to be sitting back and thinking, you know what? I knew it. I've always absolutely believed in this. So you're going to have one bunch of people who are going to question everything and say, is this AI? You're going to have another bunch of people who are going to be swallowing propaganda left, right, and center. And together, it's not going to anymore be a scenario of discerning media or understanding or being a discerning consumer of content or anything of that sort. It's just going to be one series of people saying this is not real, another version of people saying this is real, and that narrative is just going to keep flipping. And we're just possibly starting to prime people with this right now. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. I think for me, the thing, the least effort, least impact pull I want to see with respect to this is if this went away the way that everything is cake went away. You remember that? How you'd be like so certain this is a sofa that it's just very well
Cake.
made cake. And that is the low end of it. And the other end is this nightmarish thing of like, can one trust their own sense perception? I tend to be a fairly optimistic person. Like yesterday, I was at an education conference and a very, teachery type person goes on stage and then quotes this meme of, oh, we are using our phones too much. And thereby, it looks like, I mean, they meant it half jokingly. It looks like we will all start stooping over like our ape ancestors and everything. And I think that is a very clear demonstration of how, with technology, we tend to overestimate its impact in the short term and underestimate its impact in the long term. And in this case, what that would mean is just like with phones, we are like, oh, we will stoop and, this phone will, but we are looking at like a 10-year period. Like it might be so integrated into our bodies that, a phone as a separate entity might not exist, or we might not use this, or the generation might just give up on this, dopamine fueled thing that we were going on, just like we gave up on cigarettes. Anything could happen, right? It's a very small window of time. So I feel like the video situation, we might come up with some way of knowing if it comes from a directly recorded electronic source, perhaps, or if it's AI generated. Maybe we could have some tags or something. I don't know what solution we would have, but my hope is that yes, there will be a turbulent time when you're like, I can't trust anything. I fell for one of these videos the other day. There was this really nice video of this child with a dog that was a little too understanding, and it was very short, so there was not enough movement for you to be like, oh, this, it blends a little weird, or all of that. The dog was just sitting in one place and the child is right there, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then I went to the comments and then they said AI, and I still don't know if it was AI. That is the reverse problem, right? The reverse problem is that I am never able to see a picture or video of natural beauty of the kind I know exists in the world. But I'm like, it's AI, right? Like, that is what, like, there is the one side of, oh, what if they show us images of false war and, of non-existent famine and all of that. But for me, the thing is that what if I'm never again able to see a video and think, yes, this exists in the very world that we live in. So that part is very dark for me, that I can't believe that our magnificent world, its existence itself, certain aspects of its existence itself is possible, are possible. So so while my optimism tells me we will find some way of saying, okay, this is AI generated, and I don't think our eyes will be able to do it, But I'm hoping technology will be able to do it. Say, see, this is like an edited thing. Just like in photography competitions, they're able to say, this kind of adjustment has been done, or things of that nature. That there'll be some minutiae of the murder that AI commits, that we will be able to be like, you thought you could get away, but this is how we found out. Maybe
The
tech can
murder
do it
that
for
the
us.
murder that AI commits is possibly a bit of a dramatic statement to make, but
Yeah,
it is exactly what you're saying that I
yeah.
mean when I'm coming out of this in the scenario where I don't know if it's the moment you start questioning everything. Okay,
Say
people
that
tend to
again. You broke up for a second.
people tend to sort of want to be certain of things that they're passionate about. Today, if I were to watch a video of a haunted house in that really grainy ghost hunters kind of a quality kind of a thing, and over there was an AI, it was an AI generated video, but I still possibly watch it and still want to believe. 99% of me would say like, okay, come on, this has to be real. Or if there was a show about reptiles in this. It's just a close-up shot of a boat drifting in the Amazon, and then just below it, you see one 42-foot long anaconda that's just going underneath the surface.
Yeah.
And you'd want to believe because I look at that kind of content. I'm like, this is my kind of a vibe. This is what I want to be seeing. Similarly, with you, whenever you're talking about anything that looks a little too beautiful and all of those things, why are we becoming, or are we sort of thanks to all of these AI created videos and these positionings and stuff, are we sort of blurring the line between what is produced versus what is all natural? And I hate to sound like Cassandra from Greek mythology and just predict doom and gloom on this whole thing, but I do not want us to be in a scenario where maybe a year or two, maybe even 10 years down the line, it comes up and we all probably have to come back and find this recording and say, "Ha! I told you so."
Yeah. I think, you see, it's interesting that you bring up Cassandra. It's because the thing, okay, and for those who don't know what in the world we're talking about, Cassandra is a character from Greek mythology who is this person that has the gift of prophecy. She has the gift of prophecy, but the catch is that her prophecies are almost always not almost always, are always exactly right, but nobody believes her. So she is in the city of Troy, which, as we know, I mean, very late spoiler alert, burns at the end of the story. Yeah, oh my God, how dare I? So she, at every
So what
step,
happens to
tells
Brad Pitt what happens to Brad Pitt in the actual story?
going to have a very successful career, gets rid of Angelina Jolie. Cassandra told
Yeah,
people that would happen. Jolie didn't listen. Yeah, could
please
have been
carry on.
nice. Yeah. So it's it's the story of this woman who at every step of the way could have protected Troy. She could have, said, don't let this army in, don't, this is a trick, and all of these other things. And the thing with Cassandra's story is not that she doesn't have enough power. It's not that Cassandra's sight of the future is blurry. She doesn't see it in vague omens. She sees it in vague omens, but her interpretation is exact. So Cassandra's power is exact. But the problem is not that she doesn't have enough power. The problem is that it doesn't matter how much power she has, she will not be able to change anything. That is the bigger trouble. The bigger trouble is that even before there was AI doctoring and all of this, you could produce as many images as you wanted of, say, the Holocaust, or as much evidence as you wanted about the very real impact of climate change. And people take from it what they would like to take. No, not there are so many people that you just cannot convince about the horrors of the Holocaust. And then there are people on any side of the equation, right? They believe what they believe, and it's not. And to my mind, the older I get, it becomes clear that it is not just some uneducated, out of touch with technology people, either even people in very urban settings who have access to a lot of information, believe what they would like to believe. Not a lot of no amount of evidence to the contrary seems to help them. So I don't know that even if we got to a place where we are able to say, oh, this is AI, this is the truth, there will still be a lot of whataboutery. There will still be a bit of, oh, no, 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 this particular place has a lot of those shaven hairs of, dead people of the genocide, but that is like it was just artificially set up. We never went to. There will always be these people, and there will always be versions of these people. So the Cassandra moment of our life is going to be that at some point we will be able to distinguish and then suddenly realize, oh, wait a minute, in certain quarters it doesn't make any difference. People are still going to see it and say, but eh. So that will be our Cassandra moment. It's not that we are not strong enough or smart enough or wily enough as a species. It's just that it will not matter that we are.
So would you say that it means that I don't know? Will do you think that the danger is possibly that we will stop trying to know? If we stop thinking, if we stop interpreting it, or if we stop looking at things, if we see them just as something visual as opposed to what we currently do, which is look for patterns and pattern recognition and try and understand those things. When it comes to being in a scenario where you just don't watch to know anymore, but you just watch to watch, then what are you really doing? Are you taking comprehension out of that entire thing? And is it just consumption?
I feel like it will become sort of, how books are considered solid sources, but books are also written by people, periods, and regimes of bias.
Hmm.
So just because something is written in a book doesn't make it true. You will have to go through multiple and like build like a mental image of it, build context for yourself. I once, um, I once met the historian William Dalrymple at like a book signing. I had a question for him. I wanted to ask him, see, you he's written a lot about Indian history and all of that. I asked him, Mr. Arnable, see, there's so much evidence you write about, periods of like ancient Indian history and all of that. There are various sources, and there's always the thing of like history is written by the victors and everything. So how do you, when there are such contrasting sources, say, okay, this is the right source, this is a wrong source? And then he said, your role of a historian happens to be that you sit as a judge on a trial. You sit as a judge on a trial, and then you see what the evidence is. You see who is presenting the evidence. You look at the proximity of the character to the actual event. So if he was a courtier in that king's, or a courtier of the opponent's king, for example, and this part was not him. I'm just based on what he said. So is he from the same time frame? If he lived within 10 years of that king, is he more believable than a true follower of that king that came 200 years ago later? So it's all these things. So he said that you sit on trial as a judge and say, I will take this I will drop. This doesn't seem like it falls in line for me. That is how we understand books. And for a long time, we have been blessed, though I don't exactly know how much we have properly used that blessing. That video is one video. I mean, you still can, cut at different places and show different angles and twist it. But it is a record of one type of events. But the more of artificially generated video becomes available, then I think we will have a thing of interpretative visual understanding. Videos will become like books. Everyone will have a video of, see, this is what I saw, or this is my retelling of it. This is what happened, and this is how I connect the dots. Say you have like a crime scene, and then you have like a little bit of footage. Then people will try to recreate by saying, okay, we had these sources. So if we collate, it will be like one episode of messed up CID that everyone plays, of like, this is what might have happened. And then there will be various people in various renditions, and video evidence or video itself will become an interpretative thing like text is. It won't be as final, but it will be its own thing in that now we might. I think there will come a time when we stop seeing video as such. We will stop seeing. You don't read a Harry Potter book the same way you read your favorite reliable newspaper, right?
Hmm.
The text, but you don't think, oh, there is a kid with a scar that fights a noseless demon called Voldemort. So you treat them differently. So, if we had some way of attesting or some reliable source saying, see, this is how you know this is a recorded video versus this is a generated video, which is an opinion, which is a recreation, which is a rendering of part of a video, and the rest is from first, what do you call that? People who are on the site or people who collated other evidence. I think we will start consuming it differently. We will start understanding just like text. This is a novel, this is pulp fiction, this is news. So
Video has always been the both an oral tradition of storytelling and writing, as you rightly said, has always been from the perspective of the teller. But video has possibly been a lot more unbiased from that sense because you've literally been able to put yourself in the position of the viewer. And I feel that that unbiasedness is now going away. Because my bigger concern today, when I look at an AI generated video, is not so much that, like, oh my God, this is an AI generated video, but it is more like how easily my brain a significant part of my brain is wanting to respond positively to that, and therein there creates a certain amount of dissonance where I believe that, okay, no, I have to be impartial, I need to be looking at this and therefore doing that, when I have been told all this time throughout my life, or I've embraced the convenience of a visual medium literally being that you are in that, or you're watching it from a particular character's perspective, or you're watching it as a member, you're as an eyewitness within that same scenario, whether this is in movies or shows or even real life videos and things like that. Now suddenly that comfort is being taken away from me, and that comfort is being questioned. I might question it, you might question it, a lot of people might question it, but there will be significant amounts of others that are going to go, so why do we need to change our mind? So it's what, this is what it's been so far, this is what I'm still believing in it, you know. uh, it's this is no longer even a scenario of how um, different people interpret some things. This is not like a painting, for example, or a Rorschach ink test and things like that. This is real life circumstances and situations where the debate that's going to then come out is that, is this real? Is this not? And if it's real, uh, okay, wow, that's some messed up stuff. If it's not, then it comes back as asking yourself, how did they fool me? Will people be um, enthused enough or honest enough to ask themselves, how did they fool me? And does that mean that the eventual further creators of further such videos will evolve to be able to answer that question?
I don't think they would, because we already don't. We already don't really question. Based on our allegiances, we pick one newspaper and one source and one news channel, and we interpretatively we ride with that. So though we at some point have the realization that, see, a lot of this is AI generated, if it comes from the WhatsApp spam of one of your affiliated beloved parties, you would say, yeah, I know it's AI generated, but this is what is happening. That is what you don't understand. We are not able to get it exactly on video, but this is what the truth is that we are representing as such. It is not going to matter to anyone that this is not for these like true believers, for like people on both sides of political spectrum who want to believe it. I don't know if it is going to matter that it's not a real video.
I mean, true crime and all of those things from the 90s and so on and so forth have always followed the this is a dramatization of the real events. But it
Yeah,
came with that worry, it came with that label. Today, a
yeah,
lot of this stuff, if I don't see the Sora tag on it, which if someone's enterprising enough, they can remove, I
yeah,
have no warning.
yeah. I know. Which is a problem. Which is a problem because if you genuinely just want to see real videos as real videos, and artificially generated ones as artificially, currently we don't seem to have a very clear cut way of
Hmm.
discerning the difference.
Hey, all of this very long form or loud form conspiracy theory brings me back to something a little more lighthearted. In the scenario that let's admit, a lot of these videos are absolutely hilarious. The tiger walking up to the house and then being scared away by a dog or a baby crying and stuff like that is absolutely hilarious,
Yeah.
right?
There was this one that I saw after Pope Francis died, where he's like spreading his arms out and flying with Jesus in the clouds. It's just all sorts of absurdity. But it's so funny. It's so heartwarming to see people, go do all these things of, because for someone who created it, maybe it was like a moment of like, okay, this father
It's a,
figure of religion has
it's a,
passed.
it's an act of it was an act of faith. It was a tribute, and it was something that they
Yeah,
generally did back to
yeah.
acknowledge that. For example, I really absolutely adore wrestling. Yes, I know, I do. Sue me, whatever it is.
Wait. Wrestling or
Okay, I
WWE?
WWE, WWE. All right, but the second W is wrestling in that. So,
Fair enough.
but the first time I started noticing the Sora trend before the ring cams and all of that came
Yeah.
was these completely unexpected people coming in and striking promos and stuff. There's one of Gandhi that came in and he strikes a promo against Simon and says, like, you know what? I'm done turning the other cheek. It's now time for me to shove something up your cheek. And then there was another one where Stalin calls out Hitler and he
Yeah.
says, it's never good to invade Russia in December, but Russia invade you all the time. No, these were absolutely
Rush.
brilliant. And these were absolutely hilarious. I love these things. And I genuinely find it, uh, we have to talk about both sides of the thing, right? One very important advantage that AI has given you today is the avenue to come up with whatever creative output that you want to. You don't need to apply to WWE to work with them and be able to create these scenarios and whatnot. With Sora, maybe you might not be able to create an entire match or something like that. But with Sora, you can actually create a storyline of your own and post that, and other people can review it and check it out. As other fans of yours can also be like, "Good job," or sit and rage bait you on Reddit and things like that. This
Yep.
is a good use of AI. These are the good ways that people are going to are coming back to it. And then, of course, there are the other sides of this whole thing,
On
of
this,
what we've actually discussed.
yeah. Before you branch off into that, I want to say, on this point of, see, not everyone could previously, go to WWE and do all of that, which I think is a very good democratization of propaganda making, because there's this Telugu film which was released right before the elections, showing like a certain chief minister in a certain light. I'm going to make no comments about good, bad, whatever. There are many such films in India about prime ministers and all of that who are currently alive and very much political figures, and very much, and films that push towards and again push towards and push against certain, live politicians, and it's a piece of PR, it's a piece of, advertising for that said candidate. And
Propaganda.
yeah, uh,
Propaganda, or as they say, the way a British person takes a proper look at things.
yes, it's a propaganda. So yes, it
Let
is.
it out, let it out. Don't keep that laugh stuck in.
Yeah. So it's this situation where, and it's not even just this, right? It might not just be, I mean, there are the milder ones where they'll show like military do heroic acts of this and this, and in our great leadership, but this person's leadership, all this happened. Those are the milder ones, and then there are the direct ones where they like show certain people's light in a certain people's life in a certain light, and that helps. But for this, you need a lot of money. You need a lot of people know it's a story, but you need to have so much pull. You need a decent director, you need funding, you need a lot of time. But now, if you had the heart, if you had the right story, if you wanted to create about yourself, Vishnu for president, or Vishnu for prime minister, Vishnu has done this, Vishnu Superman, and then full have you driving JCBs and all for the UP population, and because that's they love that stuff there. Sorry,
Oh my
Yubi.
God, are we back in 2019 again, where everyone's looking at a big ass cat taking out the digging the earth, the
Oh,
JCB trend?
oh yeah. There's so much more apparently now. There's all JCB themed music videos, and it's it's a whole political thing, uh, about and the darker side of it is like people's houses getting demolished and all that, and some people cheering for it, like, oh, our leaders have finally gotten around to doing the hard things and whatnot, without getting into politics clearly. uh you can do that with video generation now. You don't need a director, you don't need to pay a star actor, you know you don't need Mammootty to come play the CM. You don't have to do any of this. You can generate videos, you can tell your side of the story, and people know that it is not quote unquote real, but for your people it will be an emotional glue that will bring you closer to whatever your ideology is. So that way, while it's still propaganda, it is democratizing it. It is bringing it to the masses to make these things. It's not just the rich that can do propaganda now. We can all do it.
Yay for us, I guess.
Yeah, I know. I know that sounds messed up, but it's the same. It's the same kind of. I don't know if I want to go there. Never mind. It's It's the same kind of logic as if we all had guns, the big gun having people will behave kind of thing. So it's this thing of if we all are creating our own versions and all of that, this one film that can only be created by this one family or group of companies or all of that will not have such weight anymore. If you wanted to say one small story of saying this person is like Superman, and then it's just this shitty video of this man running for the people, and then suddenly a cape wraps around him and then he flies off. And if that is how you see him, I mean, we see that right at the back of autos and in these bad flex posters they put up with, like, there are like roaring lions on both sides, and it's the same thing. It's just the only limitation is a tech limitation. It's not a limitation of imagination. It's not a limitation of loyalty. It's not a limitation of suspension of disbelief. The limitation is not any of that. The limitation is just tech. Now that limitation is taken away, and so instead of lion posters of your local corporator looking like Heracles killing the Nemean, Heracles returning after killing the Nemean lion, you can just have him fly. He's Green Lantern now, so you can do whatever.
One of the labors of Hercules, since you bring that up, is
Yeah.
cleaning the stables, right? And how it's
Yeah.
very, very
Don't get me
impossible
started.
to do and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
where he basically had to divert a river that that cleaned out the entire Aegean stables.
Yeah.
If you have And if you haven't, then I definitely recommend that you do read this. There is this Agatha Christie series of short stories called The Labors of Hercules, which is where Hercule Poirot, the book opens with a friend of Poirot's teasing him, saying like, just because you're named after Hercules doesn't really seem like you've done any of these labors and
Oh,
things like that. And of course, Michael Jordan meme with Poirot's face over there saying, and I took that personally.
and I
So
took
he
that part.
decides to take so he decides to take 12 cases and uh, build his own reputation and find cases that are as similar to the 12
Oh,
labors of Hercules and
labels of
things like that.
yeah.
Now, one of the things is where there's a scandal that's threatening the country, in that case, the United Kingdom's current prime minister, wherein there is a tabloid editor who has managed to grab some information about the previous prime minister and is threatening to, the previous prime minister was a very well beloved person, and then that's when his son-in-law ran after him. All of the love of that previous person came onto the son-in-law as well. But now, if this were to be published, then it's going to be a situation where everything is going to be in disarray. What Vora has to deal with is the fact that whatever this tabloid guy has is the pure truth. But he now has to figure out a way to prevent this guy from putting that out there, or working in a way, basically, he has to prevent this guy from putting that out there, or help the country or help his clients deal with the situation of how it is going to be. Ingeniously, what he does do is the wife of the current prime minister, the daughter of the old prime minister, is a striking Scandinavian beauty. And this tabloid magazine then suddenly starts. This tabloid magazine receives a bunch of pictures from a friend of her, so you think, that are being is sitting somewhere on a beach with a bikini, is hanging around with lounge lizards, which is a very polite term for you know what,
Hmm.
and generally doing very for lack of a better word, very unparliamentary things. And then what happens is the prime minister and his wife, they all just absolutely say no, 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 how can this be, this, that, and whatnot. And finally the prime minister's wife files a case against the tabloid editor. During the day of the trial, what happens is that one of the star witnesses brought in by the prosecution is someone who looks exactly like the prime minister's wife, but is not the prime minister's wife. And thereby discrediting every bit of investigative journalism that this tabloid thing has ever done. Which means that when they do, if they do decide to
Put out the
publish
story.
the story of the prime minister, the previous prime minister, and all of their wrongdoings, then no one's going to be actually looking at that. What is the purpose of giving publicity to Dame Agatha Christie and possibly driving some HarperCollins sales over here? Is this what did Poirot do? And the exposition is very powerful. What he says is that if this situation is the excrement that is requiring to be cleaned out from the stables, then what we needed to do was do it in a wash of public opinion and thereby wash out the filth and divert it with a powerful enough force. And sex is a powerful enough force, which is why we use that.
Nice.
Today, to discredit
Nice.
to discredit one such video, it is possible for, if there is one real video there, it is possible for a whole bunch of AI makers to make their own versions of it and then put that out there in a concerted effort to discredit that one piece of content out there. To the
Yeah.
point that because of how your algorithms work and because of how you get it across uh, whatever platform you're consuming your content in. Of course, if it's social media, you're dependent on the algorithm. If you're on some place like Reddit, it's all entirely tailored across your interests, which means that the person who's sharing it is coming to you with a certain mindset and a certain mind and things like that. Tomorrow, to, if you decide to go up against the if you decide to go up against someone powerful, and you have actual video that proves that that you have something like this, and then 10 other people, bad example, but you have a blackmail worthy video of someone powerful doing really bad karaoke of Zombie. I know that you would have, if you're doing blackmail, then you probably have a lot more intense things. But this is our first
Yeah.
episode, and I don't want us to get into trouble. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
if
Yet.
you have if you have someone who's doing a real life video of someone who's doing a really bad karaoke version of Zombie, and you threaten to send it to people saying like, "Oh, what, bro? You think I won't do it? You think I won't do it? You think I won't do it?" And then suddenly
Yeah.
15 other AI versions of it, of like different people doing Zombie in really bad versions, comes out. By that time, if you send yours, everyone's going to think, wait, 1 second. This is a
This
AI
is
trend, bro.
also one of these. Yeah,
This is one of
yeah,
those things, obviously, because I've seen all of those, and a smart person will send out those ones earlier and circumvent the blackmail. This is, of course, a very positive way that you can
yeah,
look at using these
yeah.
things, but this is also a
The
very realistic.
blackmailer is the bad guy, not the politician, which is how it is in the real world, of course.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, why not? Hmm. Yeah,
Coming back, what this does is this is a fundamental truth change. What have you been always told? Seeing is believing. Now, suddenly, you're being told, hold on, seeing may not be believing. And you're trying to now force a bunch of people, everyone in this world, to undo a fundamental truth that they have learned from while they were kids. Not trust the one thing that they're really supposed to be doing.
yeah. It is. See, at any it in any part of life, not being able to rely on one's own faculties, to rely on oneself, to believe in oneself, to love oneself, all of these things tend to be very high ideals and of a significantly higher value for us in general, right? But to be at a point where you can see something and not be able to use your own faculties to judge is quite a bit of an embarrassing ordeal. Not going to put it any
And
other way.
I'd probably go a lot higher than saying it's not just embarrassing, it's probably absolutely terrifying. Because, okay, look, my eyes are playing tricks on me is a common enough adage that people say. You go to a cemetery in the middle of the night, you are going to see a ghost. Whether you actually do see one or not, you are going to see it because you're going to misinterpret the rustling of a shrub or the shadow that a tree throws, or just a branch that exists over there, or just how the moon does it, or something like that. You also know that possibly your ears are going to be playing tricks on you because of that entire environment and stuff like that. When we've always known that the dog is barking at an appropriate time when we're talking about cemeteries.
Yeah, it knows
But
something we don't.
what is it that it is not even embarrassing as a loss of faculty? It's almost downright terrifying because uh, as much as you say that those are circumstantial or those are contextual and things like that, for until 3 years ago, we didn't possibly have to deal with the level of cynicism, or not even cynicism, the level of questioning that we are doing to each other right now at this moment about what we're seeing. It's no longer a did you see that from a situation of something that is purely impossible, like say the Loch Ness monster or the Yeti or like some form of cryptid or something that's paranormal or about normal. Now this is everyday normal that you are asking yourself the questions, are my eyes playing tricks on me? When that comes in, that is a significant uh, embarrassment, no, tragedy, and also a huge way in how all of us are going to be teaching the next generation or teaching people around us to be interpreting content, and how the most cynical among us are going to be using this moment as marketers to be able to bring out content the way that we would want to. uh, I don't know if you've read this book by Mario Puzo called Omerta. uh, It's one of the, you're on mute, by the way. It's one of the follow-ups to the Godfather in its own sense. But what it is also about the code of silence. All of this is completely unnecessary. Within that, there is a chapter for one of the characters who is a TV producer, where he has this pitch that has come to him from a bunch of from a media consortium who have essentially purchased the rights to use the likeness of recently passed people. So, because this book was written in the 90s, obviously, there were certain very famous celebrities that had passed away, including Gorbachev. and American. There was a spec ad that they had shown to this person to try and see how if they could gauge interest, which was basically cuts of Gorbachev's sort of what we'll call B rolls, cuts of Gorbachev's B rolls, and then sampling of his voice and finding someone who was able to imitate that to make the end tagline. So what happened was. Nikita, Mikhail Gorbachev, one of the people who was instrumental in the end of the Cold War and all of those things, suddenly became a spokesperson for a US pizza brand.
Yeah.
Of course, the producer at that point of time saw the thing and said, "Yeah, no, no, this is way too dangerous. I don't want that to be a scenario where we get tagged in for not having truth in advertising." Now, this was the 90s. I'm not even talking about something that was just right now. Even when AI came in, when Midjourney and Runway and Sora and all of those things started becoming popular, no one really did this level of content, which is where they are trying to go right now. Tomorrow, what's to stop us from having uh, Gandhiji walking to the Dandi River and then instead of doing the salt, instead of making salt, suddenly turning to the camera and starting to sing washing powder Nirma, washing
Yeah.
powder Nirma.
Surfad.
Near my ad, but sure, whatever. Because you have to be Gujarati in Gujarat.
Oh, I see. Hmm.
Uh,
So to bring, yeah,
that flat tire aside, I mean, what's to stop a shrewd marketer from doing that? And where is the ethics of that? This is something I ask my students all the time. In fact, whenever we're talking about ethics and things, I'm like, okay, I'm asking you to type in GPT and you're doing that. I look at their search terms and I see a lot of them have just directly asked questions and then they just copy paste that over there because what they're doing is they're letting someone else think for them. Similar to that is my hypothesis or my premise around this itself. If someone else is thinking for you and giving you an almost perfectly rendered video and you have always been taught that seeing is believing, but now suddenly someone is coming up to you and saying like, no, no, bro, that is AI, you can't trust it and this and that, you're going to have one of two things. Number one, you're going to go, bro, what you're saying, my eyes are lying. Or two, you're going to go, oh my God, how did I fall for it? Both of those ways are going to cause a lot of thrust. They're going to cause a lot of tension. They're going to cause a lot of anxiety, which means that under the guise of, as you said, democratizing this content creation, are we running towards a scenario wherein we're going to not trust anything and everything? Cliffhanger for next episode.
I personally don't think so. I think I have a lot of, like I said, I have a lot of optimism that we will find ways around it. But I think even after we have found ways around it, we will exaggerate how rational we were when this did not exist. We will really be like, oh, back then we saw a video, we would all agree on the most rational course of action. No, we are going to over exaggerate how clear headed we are.
I wasn't scared. I always knew it was just a bush. I didn't think it was a ghost. It was just you who thought it.
Yeah. I was very clear. If you showed me a video, I would be like, oh, this is nonsense.
I knew
But
this
this
was
is
AI
right.
from day one. Obviously, bro, look at it. It's AI. Come on. Can't you
In
tell?
in 2021, there were no political divisions on the basis of video. It's not like it's not like people could film the same riot and give you two completely different worlds. So we will forget that. That is going to happen. But I think this whole AI thing itself, not being able to believe, I think it might take some time, but I think we will have ways of knowing, ways of saying, see, this is tagged thus, so we know it came unedited from source or something like that. But
I've
to
always
bring
been
this,
with you. I've
sorry,
always been. I agree,
yeah,
100%. We will know. We will know. But it's an effort. What if people are no longer willing to put in that effort? So, like I said, what if watching is no longer from a perspective of knowing, but just watching for viewing's sake?
I mean that is all of Indian journalism. What are you
Ah,
talking about?
I don't think it's right to label it across one field or just put it across like one country or something like that. Everyone else these days is going absolutely low effort,
Yeah,
and it's
No, no,
Okay.
I'm just referring to, no, I'm not even referring to journalists being bad. I'm talking about how we consume news. You said, what if people don't want to put effort? How do we consume news? We pick a channel, we know what channels are right, we know what channels are wrong, and then we watch them and then we go to sleep. We already are low effort. We always have been low effort. I
We
don't
have
know.
been. I
Yeah.
think what a lot of people want to believe is that those who are not of a certain majoritarian, authoritarian persuasion are generally sort of a little more discerning, a little smarter, a little more erudite, a little more well read, a little more uh, informed to be able to go like, yeah, bro, I know this is AI, okay? Like, please don't give me this BS kind of a
Uh,
thing. And if we were to
yeah.
get off our smug high horses and stuff like that and realize that we possibly are 0.01% of the entire consumption world out there,
Mm,
uh, I don't know, man. I think I hope that it is your optimism that tails through. I would also not be surprised if it is my paranoia that tails through.
yeah.
But yes, this was fun. Thank you for joining. And on that note, everyone else who's made it till this far, we have two
Yeah.
questions. Why?
Why?
And more
Why?
importantly, will you come back if we do this again?
Yeah. And why?
Okay,
We'll see y'all next time. I'm Vikyat.
I am Vishnu, and we. This is VTF.
Oh,
Whatever.
gee.
Okay,
Okay.
bye.
No, we are cutting that out.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.